We rarely pay attention to what occupies our mind throughout the day. Thoughts feel abstract, almost harmless, something that simply passes through us. But over time, they leave traces. They shape the way we see ourselves, the way we interpret the world, and the choices we make without even noticing. Most people believe that life is formed by events, by circumstances, by what happens on the outside. Yet long before anything changes externally, something has already been repeated internally. Quietly, consistently. Day after day, the same thoughts return, the same assumptions, the same inner commentary. And little by little, without drama or warning, a person begins to resemble the patterns of their own thinking. This is where it starts. Not with a major decision, not with a breakthrough moment, but with what you allow to live in your mind every single day. Most of our thoughts are not new. They repeat. They follow familiar paths, return to the same conclusions, and circle around the same beliefs. Over time, these thoughts stop feeling like opinions and begin to feel like facts. They become the background of life, always present, rarely questioned, and because they are familiar, they feel true. But familiarity is not truth. It is simply repetition. What you think about consistently shapes what you notice, what you expect, and what you allow. A mind focused on limitation finds limits everywhere. A mind focused on possibility begins to notice openings, not because the world suddenly changes, but because attention does. This is how thoughts quietly guide direction, not by force, but by focus. And over time, focus becomes reality. We rarely notice this process because it feels natural. We assume we are simply reacting to life as it is. But the mind does something subtle. It searches for confirmation. Whatever you believe, your attention begins to organize itself around proving it true. If you believe you are not capable, your mind will highlight every mistake. If you believe the world is unsafe, it will find reasons to be cautious. If you believe nothing ever works out for you, every setback becomes evidence. This happens automatically, without intention. We don't experience reality directly. We experience it through interpretation, and interpretation is shaped by thought. Long before a situation has meaning, the mind assigns one. That meaning then guides emotion, behavior, and choice. This is why two people can live in the same circumstances and experience completely different lives. The difference is not in what happens. It's in what they are thinking while it happens. A single thought has little power. It passes and nothing changes. But a thought repeated every day begins to settle. It becomes familiar, then believable, and eventually unquestioned. This is how identity forms. What you repeatedly think about yourself becomes who you assume you are. What you repeatedly expect from life becomes what you prepare for. And what you prepare for is what you tend to experience. Over time, thoughts turn into beliefs. Beliefs influence behavior. Behavior shapes results. And results then reinforce the original thought. A quiet loop is created, one that feels natural because it was built slowly. Most people never choose this process consciously. It simply happens in the background. Yet this is how thoughts stop being temporary and start becoming permanent. Not all at once, but through repetition. There is a voice that speaks to you more than any other. It is not the voice of friends, family, or the world around you. It is the voice you hear in your own mind, the one that comments, judges, reassures, or doubts, often without your awareness. This inner dialogue runs constantly. It explains who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible for you. And because it is always present, it feels trustworthy. But its tone matters more than its volume. When this voice is critical, it quietly limits action. When it is fearful, it encourages avoidance. And when it is supportive, it allows movement forward. Most people never question this voice. They assume it is truth rather than a pattern shaped by repetition. Yet this inner dialogue becomes the narrator of your life, and over time you don't just listen to it, you become it. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes, not because one was luckier, stronger, or more prepared, but because each interpreted the situation differently. What happens matters less than what it is taken to mean. The mind is always translating experience. It labels events as success or failure, threat or opportunity, proof or setback. And once a meaning is assigned, emotion follows. Emotion then guides action or inaction. This is why circumstances alone do not shape a life. The same conditions can either reinforce limitation or inspire growth, depending on the thoughts attached to them. Thoughts act as a filter, not a reflection. Change begins when you realize that the filter can be questioned, and when meaning becomes flexible, so does direction. Change does not begin with control. It begins with awareness. You don't need to fight your thoughts or replace them forcefully. You only need to notice them, especially the ones that return every day. When a thought is observed instead of believed, its influence weakens. It no longer runs automatically. It creates a small space, and in that space, choice appears. Most people try to change their lives by changing their circumstances, but lasting change happens when attention shifts inward. When you begin to notice what you are rehearsing mentally, you start to see how much of your future is being prepared in advance. This is where quiet change begins, not with effort, but with awareness of what you are becoming through your thoughts. You don't need to monitor every thought or force your mind into constant positivity. That only creates resistance. What matters is direction, not perfection. Begin by noticing the thoughts you return to when nothing demands your attention. The ones that surface in silence, the ones that shape how you see yourself when no one is watching. These are the thoughts that slowly define your identity. Small shifts in attention create long-term change. When you repeatedly choose awareness over automatic thinking, new patterns begin to form. Not instantly, but consistently. Because over time, the mind follows what you practice, and what you practice each day is what you eventually become.